Let's take a look at every Premier League club and their manager's biggest ever achievement in football. Arsenal, Unai Emery. It takes a man with an impressive CV to follow in Arsene Wenger's footsteps, although considering the extent to which the Arsenal fans were screaming for that man to leave, they'd have probably accepted a goddamn mop and a trench coat if it meant the Frenchman had gone. Emery isn't a mop though, he's a man with quite a lot of silverware on his CV, and you might think, oh, surely I'm going to mention that domestic treble he won at PSG. Lads, winning a domestic treble at PSG is like playing tennis with a net down. If we're talking trebles, how about when he beat Liverpool with Sevilla in the 2016 Europa League final to record 3 consecutive Europa League wins on the trot? Bournemouth, Eddie Howe. Well, Eddie Howe's only managed 2 clubs in his life. One of them he's given 10 years of his life to, recording 2 promotions along the way, while the other one, he finished 13th and was given the boot. So obviously it's Bournemouth. I'll choose the 14-15 season where the Cherries won the championship, pipping Watford to the post by a point. Brighton, Chris Hughton. This was a tough one because ask anyone in Newcastle and they'll remember Chris Hughton as the lad who won them the league, beat Sunderland 5-1 and helped chuck away Brighton's claws on the title. But considering it was harder not to get the likes of Nolan Barton and Andy Carroll promoted, I'm gonna go with that second place finish and automatic promotion with the Seagulls during the 16-17 season. For Christ's sake, they had Steve Sidwell in midfield, Burnley, Sean Dyche. Clearly his biggest achievement was managing to get a team featuring Ashley Barnes and Sam Vokes to finish best of the rest in 7th position last year. He was even getting linked with Everton. I mean, I can't understand why. He's literally Big Sam if Big Sam was ginger and had a golf ball stuck in his throat. Cardiff City, Neil Warnock. Okay, so I know Cardiff fans will say that Neil Warnock's biggest achievement was getting them up, but I actually think it was keeping Rotherham up. It was February 2016, the man was 3 years off 70 and hauled himself out of retirement to try and rescue a team stuck 22nd in the championship, 7 points adrift of safety, and having lost 8 of the previous 12 matches. It did not look good. Oh, and they had Matt Derbyshire up front. For Christ's sake, that's like trying to fix a car with a goddamn knife and fork. But somehow he managed it, with the club pulling off an 11-game unbeaten run and staying up with 9 points to spare. 9 points! The man is literally a championship miracle worker. Chelsea, Maurizio Sarri. So as we know, Maurizio Sarri is a lad who's been a manager for 3 decades and doesn't have 1 trophy to show for it. The Italian, with lungs that are no doubt begging for mercy at this stage, has managed 20 teams now, with his best season coming 2 years ago when he guided Napoli from 5th to 2nd in the league. Crystal Palace, Roy Hodgson. Well, I think we know what Roy Hodgson's best moment of management wasn't. Sticking Harry Kane on corners and getting beat off a team of plumbers from Scandinavia. Okay, bit harsh on ice on that. They had a future £50 million player in their team for God's sake. But still, anyway. Hodgson has been a manager since the goddamn Stone Age, and considering he somehow managed to drag Fulham from 2-0 down and mathematically relegated in a game to miraculous Premier League survival, I almost chose that. But I think managing to steer a team with Bobby Zamora and Jonathan Greening in it to a Europa League final, knocking out Wolfsburg and Juventus along the way, is even more impressive. Everton, Marco Silva. Marco Silva might be having a tough time of it now, but he's highly rated back home in Portugal. Estoril was his first job in management, after leaving his role as director of football there to replace the manager himself. The club were 10th in the 2nd tier Portuguese football. By the end of the season, he had the club promoted as champions, returning to the top flight for the first time in 7 years, crowning him manager of the year. And now he's forced to contend with a defence that doesn't even bother marking at corners and a goalkeeper with T-Rex arms. Fulham, Scott Parker. Scott Parker has literally been a manager for 5 minutes. Christ, but why didn't I make this video a month ago? I'd have a Premier League winning manager to talk about then. Parker, I don't know what's his biggest achievement as manager. Probably managing not to burst into a flood of tears whenever he watches Cyrus Christie in training every week. Huddersfield Town, Jan Siewert. Jan Siewert is effectively a clone of David Wagner, who's a clone of Jurgen Klopp. It seems this club is praying that Borussia Dortmund will serve up an endless supply of assistant managers come good. The only first team Siewert has ever managed were Rot-Weiss Essen in the German 4th tier, where he was sacked after 9 months with the club stuck in the relegation zone. So I don't really know what to say for this one other than good luck Huddersfield. Leicester City, Brendan Rodgers. You probably expect me to say that Brendan Rodgers' greatest achievement was that season when Liverpool nearly won the league, right? Not a hope. I'm going back 8 years for this one, when he completely transformed his reputation from chubby little funster who'd been dumped on his arse by Reading to managerial genius who just guided Swansea into the Premier League via the playoffs. For God's sake, he had Scott Sinclair scoring nearly 30 goals that season. The man was a goddamn miracle worker. Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp. Getting Liverpool to a Champions League final? Getting Dortmund to a Champions League final? No. Don't forget Jurgen Klopp does have experience of winning before. He lifted 2 Bundesligas with unfancy Dortmund. I'm gonna go with the second one they lifted back in 11-12. Because Bayern were a lot stronger that year, but still, Klopp saw them off and retained the league. Man City, Pep Guardiola. I don't think Pep Guardiola is ever going to top his first real feat as a manager when guiding Barcelona to an historic treble during the 08-09 season, topped off with a 2-0 win over Champions League holders Man United in Rome. Oh, and he did this all despite having knifed through the team upon arrival, with fan favourites Ronaldinho and Deco banished from the club. Even Samuel Eto'o wasn't really wanted anymore. Man United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Speak to any Man United fan and they'll tell you Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's biggest achievement in management happened last week. But sorry lads, I didn't realise trophies were handed out for advancing to a goddamn quarter-final. Back during the 10-11 season, the Norwegian was at the wheel to make Molde, who finished 11th the previous season and hadn't won the league since 1983, champions of Norway. Newcastle, Rafa Benitez. Rafa Benitez managed to win a Champions League with Jimmy Traore. I mean, the man is a goddamn genius. 3-0 down to half-time in Istanbul against an AC Milan side brimming with some of the best players of all time, and he had the likes of Milan Baras and Vladimir Smicer in his arsenal. Christ above, that's like going to battle with a goddamn spoon set. And he still won. Amazing. Southampton, Ralph Hasenhüttl. Ralph Hasenhüttl took a struggling VfR Aalen, struggling in the German 3rd division, back into the 2nd division via automatic promotion to 2nd place. Not bad. Tottenham, Mauricio Pochettino. For a man who's been constantly linked with 2 of the biggest clubs in the world, you really think I'd have more to choose from than picking when he finished 8th in the league with Southampton. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a great achievement from Mauricio Pochettino and went some way to shutting up anyone who thought the sacking of Nigel Atkins was a disgrace. But still, for a lad recently tipped for Real Madrid, you'd have thought I could call on at least a trophy. Watford, Javi Gracia. Let's be honest, the fact he's managed to survive at Watford this long, this alone should probably be Javi Gracia's biggest achievement in football. He's like trying to stay alive as a Game of Thrones cast member, and he's done remarkably well the last 50 games. He also lasted 50 games as Almeria coach during the 12-13 season, gaining promotion back to the top flight. West Ham, Manuel Pellegrini. I almost went with his Champions League exploits with both Villarreal and Malaga. For God's sake, he was a one Roman Riquelme penalty away from a final, or the fact that he managed to not punch Alan Pardew in the face when he called him a goddamn old cunt. But no, obvious answer, winning a league and cup double with Man City during the 13-14 season. In style, I mean, they scored over 100 goals in doing so. Only 4 less than City scored last season, in fact. Wolves, Nuno Espirito Santo. What's Nuno Espirito Santo's biggest achievement in football? I mean, I have a guess. I'll give you a hint. He was on the pitch celebrating it at the end of last season.